Good morning. Welcome to the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll begin this meeting at 9:04. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, followed by the invocation by Elder Bill Canoyer with Redeemer Church, and that will be followed by a moment of silence for Councilmember Jenny Canoyer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Let's pray. Our Father, I want to thank you first off for these men in front of me. Thank you for putting them in the place that they are. Thank that by your hand that you've placed them here for the good of the county, for the good of this area, Lord. I thank you for the woman of Jenny Canoyer, Lord, of just being an amazing wife to my dad and just an encouragement to him, strengthening of him in his later years, and just grateful for her work in this city. Father, thank you for the men and women who have protected us, Lord, around the world. Those veterans, Lord, are here with us today, and those who have fallen. I thank you for my own father, Lord, who fought in the Navy, and I'm grateful for his work as well. God, would you give our Board of Supervisors wisdom today and throughout their day today? Would you give them insight? Those items that are on the docket, Lord, that are here to enhance and better, Lord, our community, would you allow those to be fruitful and be moving forward? Those things, Lord, that are meant maybe for greed of one or a group of people that wouldn't satisfy the needs of our community, Lord, would you let those just fall, and would you not allow those to move forward? God, we thank you for being so good to us and give us such a great community to live in and grow up and grow old in. And we pray, Father, for your direction today in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Now let's have a moment of silence for Jenny Canoyer, former city council. Amen.
Councilmember Canoyer was certainly one of a kind and will certainly be missed. All right, moving on to presentations. We have Ryan Kegley with the Veteran Service Manager, and he is here with the Veterans of the Year Awards. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman Condit, board members, Mr. Hayes, Mr. Bose. My name is Ryan Kegley. I'm the manager of the Veterans Service Office in Stanislaus County. I would like to again thank the Board of Supervisors and the CEO's office for your continued support of our department and just providing us the ability to serve the seniors and veterans of Stanislaus County. This morning it is my honor to introduce our 2023 Stanislaus County Veterans of the Year. Real quickly, a little history about Veterans Day. It is a holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars and pays tribute to all American veterans, living or deceased, but especially gives thanks to those living veterans who are still with us, who served their country honorably during war or peacetime. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice or ceasefire was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in World War I. President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. The day's observation included parades and public gatherings, as well as a brief pause in business and school activities at 11 a.m. Commemorated in many countries as Armistice Day, November 11th became a federal holiday in the United States in 1938. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became known as Veterans Day. Today, the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors are recognizing 5 veterans representing each supervisorial district. Through their volunteer work with our county veterans, they have enriched the quality of life for our veteran community and county residents. On behalf of the Stanislaus County Aging and Veterans Services Department, I thank these outstanding veterans for their contributions. They are truly an inspiration to all of us. I would now like to introduce from District 1, Mr. Daniel H. Vigil. From District 2, Mr. Roy A. Santiago. District 3, Mr. Steve Fimbres. From District 4, Mr. Ray Alley Sr. And from District 5, Mr. Vern Snodderly. I'd like to invite the board members going to come and present. Oh, very good. Outstanding.
All right, our first presentation will be Mr. Vigil. Obviously, Supervisor Buck Condit is not here today, so they got the next best thing. So, Mr. Vigil, if you'd like to stand up, I'd like to recognize you as Veteran of the Year for District 1. So the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors wishes to acknowledge the military service and lifelong commitment of veteran advocacy provided by Mr. Daniel Vigil. Mr. Vigil was a member of the U.S. Navy from 1968 to 1972 and was deployed in 1969 and 1970 during the Vietnam War. He was a recipient of the following medals: National Defense, Vietnam Service, and Efficiency Service Honor Fidelity Medal 3 times. Mr. Vigil has worked with organizations such as Love Oakdale and the Chamber of Commerce. He is a participant of many organizations such as Veterans Day Parade and the annual barbecue for the National Guard unit. Mr. Vigil has been the president and coach for Little League Baseball for 8 years and has been a member of the Oakdale Saddle Club for the last 47 years. Has been a sponsor of the NorCal Junior Rodeo Association and High School Rodeo. And in 2014, the Vigil family was the Grand Marshal for the 63rd Pro Rodeo Parade. Daniel Vigil was awarded the VFW Volunteer of the Year in 2020 as Post Commander for VFW 2922. Mr. Vigil has overseen the maintenance of William A. Fish Veterans Memorial Park and provides honor guard services for local veterans. Daniel Vigil finds the inspiration to do what he does by being a veteran helping veterans and their family. For the last 50 years, the biggest motivation for Mr. Vigil has been the appreciation he feels for the volunteer work he contributes to the city of Oakdale and the organizations and clubs in his community. He enjoys watching the youth he once coached grow into adulthood and is most proud of being the post commander of VFW Post 2922 for the last 9 years. Now therefore let it be resolved that the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors does hereby thank and commend Mr. Daniel Vigil for his exceptional contributions to the veterans community in Stanislaus County and congratulates him for being recognized as 2023 Veteran of the Year for District 1. Would you like to say anything?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this board, and I didn't know it was coming, so I kind of did. As you can tell, my comrades here are dressed a little better than I am, so I had to do chores this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can tell you're from Oakdale because your boots.
Okay, bro.
Yeah, I like them. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
And then District 2, Roy Santiago.
I feel like I have to stand up straighter now. A great posture. And I love, Mayor, that you came out to see this. That is fantastic, Mayor Barrios from the city of Oakdale. So Roy and I have known each other. He's a Houston resident, so as you know, pretty much everyone in Houston, small community. I probably knew you long before I was on the Board of Supervisors, and now through obviously lots of veterans event, but what I specifically love about you is you love your community and you help the community in any way. And that's not just Houston, it's countywide. You're involved in many things, and I'll read some of those that a lot of them are veterans, but you are just committed to the community, and folks like you are hard to come by. Just generally, people are wrapped up in their own lives and they give when they can, but you give all the time now, so it's fantastic. So Roy Santiago joined the United States Marine Corps in 1982. And can I ask how old you are? Because I graduated high school that year, so
I just turned 62.
you just turned 62, so dang. All right. After camp and radio school, he was assigned to the 4th Landing Support Battalion in San Jose. He volunteered as a hometown recruiter and spent 8 years on active duty and 8 years in the Marine Corps Reserves. Mr. Santiago was awarded the following medals: Good Conduct, National Defense, Armed Forces Reserve, Selected Marine Corps Reserve, and Meritus Unit Commendation 5 times. Whereas he served as a member of the instructor staff at the Marine Air Group 42 at the Naval Air Station in Alameda, and the 4th LAAMBN Hayward, and that stands for?
Light Anti-Aircraft Missile Battalion.
All right. The role of the instructor is to instruct and assist the Marine Corps Reserves units to maintain a continuous state of readiness. Mr. Santiago was with a group of veterans who met on Sunday after the events of 9/11. They formed the Scranton Qualley American Legion Post 872, which is held in the IOOF building in downtown, right on Oddfellows, right in downtown Houston. He's a charter member. He's held every position in the post, including commander. And he also has painted, and when I talk about these things, he has a male service background, just so you know that in his former career after the military. He made sure that things got across the United States and put in your mailbox for
Check got there.
16 cents, or now up to 55 cents, I think. I don't even know what it is. But he paints American flags. He uses the collection boxes for retired flags. And so if you go to the Houston Fire Department, you'll see some of their work. And I'll give you a chance to talk about anything you want to talk about. And it's really funny because he's over a 10-gallon blood donor too. And so you've led blood drives in the community. Mr. Santiago has held numerous positions in District 12. He's a commander and the vice commander, the 3rd area in the state of California. He started the Sons of the American Legion, SAL charter at the post in Houston. Mr. Santiago was instrumental in the Lakewood Memorial Day Planning Committee. The SAL charter, Mr. Santiago started, donated money to the Child Welfare Foundation and the California American Legion for its Helmets and Heroes program, which assists in the rehabilitation efforts of wounded veterans returning home. I told you he did a lot of things and continues to do a lot of things. He has mentored many veterans and their families. He is currently a member of the Voyager 653-40/8. You'll be able to explain what that is too. Marine Corps League, Fleet Reserve Association, Series Honor Guard 12th District Installation Team, as a past member of the Non-Commissioned Officers Association. And you hear about all of these things, and he's doing all of these things. You're not getting paid. He's showing up because he loves veterans. He loves the commitment because not a one of you became rich by being in the military. You gave your service because usually it's because you want to help out, right? And you carry that on later in life. And it's just great to be here today to honor Roy for all of his service and continued service because he's only 62. So we're going to get a lot more out of him. I appreciate everything, brother.
Thank you. It's a privilege and honor to be amongst the county, friends, members of the Sons of Legion, American Legion, Marine Corps League, my peers, some mentors like Ray Alley. Bless your heart, still doing this after 90-something years. People ask why we do it, and I do it in honor of my father, who was a part of the San Juan Brigades, a segregated Puerto Rican battalion that was put into service in World War II. My brother, who was in Vietnam and Marine Corps also. I do it, we do it by the grace of God because we're still here to do it because so many can't. But I do recall a lot of times when I was growing up, my mom was still doing victory gardens into her 80s. That greatest generation that provided that instruction when we were kids, and boy, did I need a lot of instruction when I was a kid. And still do from time to time. My sister, she's a reverend too, and she always says I'm in my terrible twos, but I just in the 60-year program. So anyway, there's a lot of fun. We do have a lot of good stuff, but service is something we do because it's instilled in us, and we learned it at an early age, and thank God we still can. So God bless America.
Take a picture.
Thanks, Ron.
District 3, Mr. Steve Fembrith.
Steve, congratulations. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit about Steve here, and then we'll let him talk also. So Steve is an Air Force veteran, U.S. Air Force. He was deployed between 1975 and 1979, serving most of his deployment in the state of Illinois and Texas. He's a recipient of the Good Conduct Medal, the Air Force Longevity Service Medal, and the Outstanding Unit Citation Medal. Steve is presently the Forum Commander of the American GI Forum. Other positions he currently holds in veterans organizations are the American Legion's First Vice Commander, Honor Society of American Veterans 48, is that right? 40 and 8, okay. Is it Chef de Train? Chef de Train? Is it? Chef de Tron, jeez. Okay, I'll let you talk about that more. Okay. California State Aids DeCamp, board member of the Stanislaus County Veterans Foundation, and Honor Guard captain performing military honors for deceased veterans. Steve has served as the American GI Forum State Secretary and as a veteran representative for the Stanislaus County Commission on Aging. He does a lot of work with the homeless veterans, which we got to commend you for. We know there is a large percentage of our homeless out there are veterans, which is a crime, and so we appreciate all the work you do for them and for their families. I know you do work for veterans for scholarships for their families. You've helped distribute funds in support of veterans housed in Tijuana, Mexico. I want to hear you talk about that a little bit, and provides resources for veterans in need. Volunteer work, you've done volunteer work assisting Veterans Foundation, Hispanic community at various events, and serve veterans by promoting camaraderie. You were named Veteran of the Year by State Assemblyman Adam Gray, and you served as a Grand Marshal in the Veterans Parade, and you're an inspiration to veterans and an advocate for them. And so, one thing, Steve, that I always think about, especially for all of you guys, for our veterans, is that I always think of a Bible verse. Okay, I'm going to go Bible verse on you guys here. And so John 15:13, no one has greater love than to lay down his own life for his friends. And so I always think of the service that you guys do. I think of my son who serves our country, and I have 2 son-in-laws that have. And there is nothing greater than to provide service, the service you guys provide, always at the risk of losing your lives in service of this country. And so we are so appreciative of what all of you do and the work that you do for all of us. And we just don't see that much anymore. We don't see people willing to step out for somebody else. And so I can't tell you how proud all of us are of you and all of you and the work, and not only after you retire, but here we are, and you continue to serve, and it's a missing art that we just don't have in this country anymore, and we're just so proud of everything you do, Steve, and all of you guys, and men and women here. So thank you for everything you do. Congratulations on this recognition, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit.
I just want to thank the nomination committee for nominating myself, and also thank the Board of Supervisors for recognizing the veterans, and especially a lot of these veterans I know because we all work together, and I'm very proud to work with them, and that's what keeps me going, the camaraderie and these good people here. So thank you.
Good morning. It is an honor and privilege to recognize Mr. Raymond Alley Sr. as Veteran of the Year for District 4. So I'm going to start off by telling a bit about Mr. Alley. He was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1953 and served for 2 years. He was sent to Fort Hood, Texas, HNS 61st Company, Armored Engineering Battalion Construction, where he worked in the light weapons supply room, issuing and maintaining pistols and rifles. That looks like a responsible position. He was honorably discharged in 1955. Then in 1983, he joined the American Legion and has volunteered at the American Legion 74 post for over 40 years. To put that in perspective for myself, I was starting preschool in 1983. You've done a lot more since I have. And he has served for over 40 years in the Voider 653 40/8 for 38 years as a commander, finance officer, and adjutant. I might have said that wrong. Adjutant. Thank you. Mr. Alley oversight putting out the newsletter each month for 20 years. He's done so much for the being a scoutmaster for the Boy Scout Troop 5, for Troop 74, for Cub Pack 5, Post 74. Mr. Alley also volunteers in the Boys and Girls State, which is a program that teaches various levels of government to high school youth, which my son had the privilege to attend under your leadership. Yes. Mr. Alley has volunteered on the 4th of July parade for 22 years, been chairman of the committee, in charge of organizing participants for the last 15 years, and Veterans Day parade chairman and co-chairman for 25 years. He also was appointed co-chairman of the Stanislaus County Veterans Foundation by the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors with a 501c3 designation, which he completed in 4 months with the help of Congressman Jeff Denham. He has received Stanislaus County Citizen of the Year, as well as the Grand Vutur de California Voyager of the Year in 2023, and Voider 653 Voyager of the Year in 2006. Wow, a lot of accomplishments. 2023 has been a big year for you. A little bit about his family. Mr. Alley has been married for 45 years to Marilyn Alley, and between both of them, they have 6 children, 10 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. So the part that's always encouraging and fascinating for someone like me to see someone that has given so much to this country, but then further, the rest of their lives, the rest of their careers, they take out time and give so much. But what motivates Mr. Alley is his direct quote, which says, "What keeps me going is seeing all the veterans I work with suffering with ailments and having a busy life and still finding the time to help families and youth. His passion is working with children, and he says he will continue volunteering and helping where he can for as long as he can." So it is my privilege to honor you with this District 4 Veteran of the Year. I can't say enough about your service. It is always encouraging for people such as myself to see how much you give to all of us and how much you have given. Thank you so much, and 3 words.
All right, thank you so much. And thank the committee and the Board of Supervisors and especially your group and Claudia. Well, a whirlwind. Yeah, it's been a long journey, and another thing I'm very proud of is that I've given a lot of blood and now in platelets, and I've given over 60 gallons of blood and platelets together over my lifetime, and also the 40 and 8. You mentioned that three of us here started in 1919. When all the troops are coming home, and a lot of them are missing, and families with children, so they took on the children and youth program, And it's carried all the way into where we, Voyager 653 Modesto, sponsor 10 nurses at MJC. We help sponsor them and we help graduate some of those nurses and keep telling them, I'm going to be using you guys pretty soon. So the 48 is a great, and the American Legion also has the Boys State program, which we desperately need to get these young people into politics and to straighten out and finally maybe to get to Congress and get that straightened out. So we're real proud of the boys, and we've gone up to 12 boy states, and one of your mayors was gone through that program, and I appreciate the support and things with my fellow veterans. Seen a lot of them come and go, but there's a few here today that are really active. So I want to appreciate that and appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manny.
All right, next it is my honor to recognize District 5's Veteran of the Year, Mr. Vern Snodderly. The Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors wishes to acknowledge the military service and lifelong commitment of veteran advocacy provided by Mr. Vern Snodderly. Mr. Snodderly served in the United States Marine Corps and the California Army National Guard. His military service covers the span of 20 years. He was deployed in February 1969 through October 1970 during the Vietnam War and served as squad leader for the Provisional Rifle Company. Force Logistics Command at Camp Brooks, Vietnam. He was also deployed during the riots in Los Angeles in April and May of 1992, where he assisted in riot control, bringing order to the greater Los Angeles area. He has received the following medals: Navy Achievement Medal with V for Valor, the Combat Action Ribbon, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Ribbon, Army Commendation Medals, and Army Achievement Medals. Vern Snodderly is part of the Marine Corps League in Modesto, the VFW and American Legion in Gustine, and currently manages the Army 149th Armor Regiment website. Mr. Snodderly has served on the Newman Crows Landing Unified School District Board for the last 8 years and is serving currently on the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority Equity and Accessibility Committee as District 5's representative. Mr. Snodderly has volunteered for the American Cancer Society for 10 years as the Relay for Life organizer and as Road to Recovery driver coordinator. He is involved in veteran transportation services, helping to provide free transit for veterans across Stanislaus County. Mr. Vern Snodderly has been married to his beautiful and talented wife, Janet, for 41 years. They have a daughter and a son, unfortunately, who passed away from brain cancer. He and his wife have 4 grandchildren whom they love to spend time with. So therefore, let it be resolved that the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors does hereby thank and commend Mr. Vern Snodderly for his exceptional contributions to the veteran community in Stanislaus County and congratulates him for being recognized as the 2023 Veteran of the Year for District 5. Mr. Snodderly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be nominated and selected for this position. Really, all the veterans sitting out here today, you all deserve this honor. I hope you get on the list. And special thing, all the Marines, I better not talk too much because we use too many 4-letter words. Although we don't normally like to talk about the Navy, it's a Marine thing, I would like to thank Mr. Bill Hurst, my favorite Navy guy of all time. Thank you very much, everyone.
And I'm going to invite all the recipients today. We're going to take a group photo with my colleagues, and then after that, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll continue celebrating you guys. We appreciate you all very much for being here today, and thank you so much for your service to our country and our community. God bless you. Congratulations. Virgil. at 9:44. But again, thank you to all our veterans. Happy early Veteran Day, and we greatly appreciate your service to this country. All right, moving on to public comment. Public comment is a time for those in attendance to speak on items not related to the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Direct all comments towards the dais, and so that it's fair for every speaker, keep your comments to the 5-minute time limit. I do have a couple comment cards. The first card is Ron McCarty. Ron, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Yes, Ron McMurtry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I didn't plan on speaking, but I was hoping to get the veterans before they shuffled out, so I'm doing a small outreach. There's going to be a formal outreach, but Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority last month approved a fare change to the public transit, as a couple of you already know because you're on the board. Starting Veterans Day, there will be free fares for veterans. A few months ago, Turlock Transit also did the same thing, so I'd like veterans to know they have free rides throughout the county, and hopefully you'll have some sort of appropriate ID, but if you don't, you can get a card from Stan RTA so you can ride for free starting this Veterans Day, which is just in a few days. Thank you.
Hey, Ron, one question, because I didn't want to ask the two board members. Is this for all 365 days out of the year?
Yes, all the days that the bus operates. It doesn't operate Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, a few holidays. And Turlock Transit did the same a few months ago, so all the public transits in the county.
Yeah, that's nice. That's worth the... Thank you. Good job, Stan RTA board members.
Our next speaker is Stephen Morrow. Mr. Morrow, good morning. Thank you for being here. Also a veteran. Want to acknowledge that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors, Mr. Hayes and Mr. Bowes. My reason for speaking today is just to offer my recollections of our departed friend, Jenny Knoyer. I only got to work with her over the last couple of years through my involvement with the Stan RTA. But she had a lot to offer, and our community is a lot better off thanks to her tireless service over her long career. So we're going to miss her a whole lot. Thank you very much.
Very true words, Steve. Thank you so much for those comments. And next we have Mr. Frank Morales. Frank, good morning. Thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, my name's Frank Morales. I came last month and talked to you about the dust control of the almonds. I have a neighbor that's a farmer that he's really annoying, and he's been sweeping his almonds 4 days in a row, 3 times a day, from 5 a.m., 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 8, 10 p.m., and he's a nuisance. And everybody I called, they all say he's a farmer, he has rights. So do I. Nobody seems to really care, so I went through Linda from the Commissioners Ag. She went to my house, checked everything. She called him, tried to reason with the guy. There's no reason. Now, my next option was to go planning and file a complaint. Well, they're telling me that 8 years ago, the Board of Supervisors, not you guys, but somebody 8 years ago, probably all farmers, they put this $4,800 fee if you want to complain on a farmer. So I want you guys hopefully to vote to ban that, so people like me could go and tell the committee, this guy's doing it on purpose. I got 18 videos of him doing the same roles in front of my house, day in, day out, during the day, night time, everything. I got 15 cameras, so I got them all the time. I know Linda's seen them, quite a few people seen them. I talked to San Joaquin Quality Control. They're not the brightest people, because I asked them, what's what you call pollution? They couldn't give me an answer. I even went to the state and asked the state. The state told me it's a county problem. Take it to the county, and here I am with you guys. So if you would ban those $4,800, I could go upstairs, file that complaint, and I could show the videos to the committee so they could find this guy. I know you guys, some of you guys are farmers, and the almonds, you shake them one day, you sweep them another day, and then you pick them up, and the season's over. Well, this guy's been sweeping them for 4 or 5 days in a row, and he does it at all times just to cover my house full of dust. My wife had to go to the hospital because she had dust in her lungs. My daughter's afraid to go outside. I have to walk her outside because this gentleman walks down the street in the middle of the night at 3 in the morning with a flashlight, flashing the trees, and I got them on camera, whistling at my dogs so they could bark and wake everybody up. And I got them on camera. Nobody seems to care. They all tell me, they point the fingers. The last finger I got pointed to was the planning department, and the planning department says, we could do something about it, but you got to pay $4,800. If you guys could help me out and eliminate that $4,800, I could have somebody resolve this problem. This guy's giving the farmers a bad name. You know, I get it. I live in the country. I had been there for 17 years. I dealt with the almonds, and I know how they get picked. I've seen them. I got neighbors all over with almonds. He's the only one that does it. He's doing it on purpose. And every time you complain, I'm ag, I'm a farmer, I'm exempt. He's using that law that they put to protect farmers to take advantage of it. There's two things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going to the governors. I'm going to start hammering the governor, the senator, the Congress, the assembly, and try to remove that law for the farmers. Because this guy's going to give farmers a bad name, and nobody wants to do anything about it. And also, there's equipment out there that is dust-free, okay? Dust-free. I went to your guys' office actually yesterday, and I talked to the girl there, and I asked her, I said, you know, there's equipment out there dust-free. She goes, oh, yeah, we knew for years. Well, why aren't you implementing like Fresno, Merced, Madera? They have it for the almonds, keep the dust down. And they said, well, you know, we can't force it. We're the only county that doesn't do anything about it. I mean, I understand they have to make a living, but I also have the right to breathe clean air. And if you guys could find it in your heart to remove that $48 fee, so I could file my complaint and have the committee look at it and see if he's guilty or not. Just with the videos, and the video counts the date, time, everything on there. Thank you, that's all I gotta say.
What was the address again? Just remind me.
Mine?
Yeah, or either one.
Mine is 606 Priscilla Lane, Waterford. His is 573 Priscilla. He's right across the street from me. You know, I already talked to Linda, and I also talked to Ms. Freitas. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. All right, are there any other members of the public who wish to comment during this time? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead. We'll go ahead and close the public comment period and move on to consent. Mr. Hayes does have an announcement before we go to the consent calendar.
Yes, thank you very much. We do need to make an amendment to one of our consent items this morning. Item 5B10 pertains to a grant approval in the DA's office, which would fund a new time-limited attorney position to address organized retail theft. We'd like to make a technical correction to our staff recommendation number 3, specifically within the staffing impact section of that agenda item. We want to change the recommendation to amend our salary and position allocation resolution. It currently says to add 1 attorney 3, and instead we need to add 1 block budgeted attorney 1 through 5. So this is changing from the requested attorney 3 allocated position to a block budgeted attorney 1 through 5 position. This change would allow us to comply with our current MOUs with our Attorneys Association. There are no additional fiscal impacts with this change, as the department will still staff the position at the attorney 3 level as indicated and funded by this grant. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to consent calendar, do any board members have any comment on any items on consent? Okay, seeing none, we'll open up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on any consent items? Okay, seeing none, I will bring it back to the board for further action.
Motion to approve all consent calendar items.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Withrow, a second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 4-0-1. Okay, moving on to discussion items. Today we have a PowerPoint presentation by Mr. Tony Vartan, and this is to accept the California Department of Healthcare Services Behavioral Health Bridge Housing Program grant. Mr. Vartan, good morning. Thank you for being here, sir.
Good morning, Chairman Condit, Board of Supervisors, Council Bowes, and Mr. Hayes, County CEO. Thank you. We're here today to request approval to accept Behavioral Health Bridge Housing Grant and share what Behavioral Health Services is planning to do with the grant funding. With me today are Ms. Pam Esparza, Chief of Supportive Services Division, and Ms. Kara Anguiano, Assistant Director, Chief Fiscal Administrative Officer. Also with us in the audience are our partners from the community, Siria Modesto, Ms. Jessica Hill, Director of Community Economic Development, and also Mr. Steve Madison, Stanco CEO, as well as Ms. Betty Dominici, which is the Executive Director of ANA Health. Behavioral health bridge funding, bridge housing funding was approved in September of 2022 under Assembly Bill 179, which addresses immediate housing needs for unsheltered individuals who are experiencing behavioral health conditions. This is administered by Department of Healthcare Services, and it's a predetermined funding award to the counties that are participating, and the grant will be managed by AHP, which will oversee the grant for Department of Healthcare Services, and that's Advocates for Human Potential. Behavioral health program, California has previously provided funding opportunities to the counties in various settings such as Project Home Key, Community Care Expansion Program, and Behavioral Health Continuum Infrastructure Programs. Now the behavioral health bridge funding is designed to complement these capital investments and will provide operational and supportive services for funding to expand bridge housing implementation. And this may be used, these fundings may be used in existing settings that are leased or owned by a county behavioral health services or a provider partner that can actually convert them into bridge housing on a faster timelines than a new capital project. Behavioral health was awarded $10.8 million in non-competitive funding for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. The behavioral health program funding is available for all bridge housing costs, including program implementation, outreach and engagement, bridge housing costs, and bridge housing startup infrastructure costs, provided that the beds are made available within 1 year of execution of the grant agreement. Behavioral health services will utilize the bridge funding to provide housing navigation services, a 30-bed interim housing facility and ongoing operational costs, and enhanced behavioral health services in licensed adult residential facilities. The priority population for this funding are individuals enrolled in CARE Court or CARE Act program, and this will be embedded into the CARE team treatment plan as well. Individuals with severe mental illness and substance use disorder or co-occurring disorders that are homeless and or at risk of homelessness are also eligible for this funding. I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Pam, and she can kind of talk about our new interim housing complex.
Hi there. BHBH funding, or bridge housing funding, will support the construction of a newly constructed interim housing complex. The initial furnishings, equipment, and appliances that will be in the units. This is a complex that's patterned after a similar complex in Santa Barbara. We have some pictures of that later on. Funding will also support ongoing operational cost of the facility until the end of the grant period. The project was initially conceptualized as being able to include 30 units, but we have recent information that indicates that we may go to up to 45 units. That's if it's going to pencil out, I guess. The entering housing complex will be developed in partnership with the City of Modesto, the Stanislaus County Affordable Housing Corporation, STANCO, and Dignity Moves. The tentative location is on the corner of 9th and D Streets in Modesto. Dignity Moves, the identified builder partner, has worked successfully in California communities to build interim supportive housing in a rapid, cost-effective, and scalable manner in an effort to end unsheltered homelessness. The City of Modesto is contributing the land for this project and has proposed to perform the site work and assist us in leveraging community partnerships to support the development of this project. City of Modesto staff plan to present this project and request approval by the City Council in November. Once construction is complete and the complex is ready for occupancy, STANCO will provide the property management services for the new interim housing facility. BHRS will be the service provider to the individuals there for the behavioral health component. BHRS will then amend the existing STANCO property management agreement to include the new facility. Here are some pictures of a similar complex. This is the one in Santa Barbara. The facility will feature kind of a communal, they have toilet showers. It's a dining facility. They call it a warming kitchen, laundry facility, clinic space, so space to provide services, office space, a dog run, a garden, a wall mural opportunity, and social areas. 4 of the units will be able to accommodate residents with accessibility needs. Up here is a draft site plan. Since the BHBH grant application and award, City of Modesto and BHRS have been working with Dignity Moves and STANCO on a detailed budget for the interim housing project, and the estimated costs may be higher than anticipated. This is an opportunity to leverage economies of scale to produce the 45 units rather than the original 30 that were proposed as part of the grant application. The City of Modesto continues to be a dedicated partner in collaborating with BHRS to move the project forward. Please note that the final project has not been brought forward to the City Council yet and is anticipated to be presented to them in November. BHRS will need to identify other funding to support the project and will return to the Board of Supervisors if additional funding is needed. If the Board of Supervisors authorizes BHRS to accept the BHBH grant, BHRS will work with AHP to modify the grant application in an effort to secure approval for the 45 beds rather than the initial 30 beds. You want me to continue? So the enhanced, one of the other components of this funding is enhanced behavioral health services. We are looking at up to 89 clients per month will be eligible to receive enhanced behavioral health services in a licensed adult residential facility. Another component is housing navigation services. BHRS will contract with a community-based organization to provide housing navigation services to the care court participants and individuals with serious mental illness and substance use disorder or co-occurring disorder that are homeless and are at risk of homelessness. The CBO staff will conduct tenant screenings and housing assessments that identify the participants' needs, preferences, and barriers related to successful tenancy and develop an individualized housing support plan. The contractor staff will identify and secure available resources to assist in subsidized rent and moving costs, search for housing, present options to participants, and assist in securing housing.
Thank you, Pam. And Kara, would you mind covering the numbers and the financials?
Thank you. BHRS recommends the addition of one staff services coordinator position to oversee the grant and provide project management activities, including but not limited to supporting the Behavioral Health Bridge Housing Project Director, who is going to be the BHRS Forensic Services Manager 3, doing data collection, report writing, invoicing, entering data into the Homeless Management Information System, liaisoning with DHCS and AHP, participate in BHBH learning collaboratives and technical assistance forums, as well as ensure compliance with the grant award terms and conditions. The DHCS Behavioral Health Bridge Housing Grant is $10,819,200 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2027, as shown in the table on the screen. As we reviewed earlier, approximately $2.1 million of the BHBH funding will support the construction of a new interim housing complex. This figure does not represent the total cost of the housing project. It only represents the portion of the project that will be paid for by BHBH funding. BHRS will need to identify ongoing funding to support the operations of the interim housing complex upon expiration of the BHBH grant on June 30th of 2027. The anticipated cost is approximately $600,000 per year, and BHRS anticipates being able to find funding to support that long term. Appropriations and estimated revenue for the provision of services through June 30th of 2024 were not included in BHRS's 2024 proposed budget. BHRS anticipates significant salary savings due to vacant positions. However, if appropriations and estimated revenue are needed, we will come back to the board and request authority in a future budget cycle. Appropriations and estimated revenue for the remaining grant periods will be included in subsequent budget cycles, and there is no impact to county general fund. We have 3 staff recommendations before you today. Number 1, authorize the Behavioral Health Director or designee to accept the California Department of Healthcare Services Behavioral Health Bridge Housing Program grant for the planning and implementation of bridge housing services for individuals experiencing homelessness who have serious behavioral health conditions in the amount of $10,819,200 for the period retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2027. Number 2, authorize the Behavioral Health Director or designee to sign and execute all related agreements, contracts, amendments, or other documentation required for implementation of the DHCS BHBH program grant. And number 3, amend the salary and position allocation resolution to reflect the recommended changes outlined in the staffing impact section of this report, effective the first full pay period after Board of Supervisors approval.
Thank you, Karen. We're very fortunate that this funding is available because it is providing us the opportunity to really create a continuum of housing projects that are well needed in our community. So staff and I are here present for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from board members? Vito?
I just wanted to say that if it continues, I know that it was. Are you on? Right. Modesto continues to be a good partner, and the fact that they've agreed in principle, I know it hasn't gone to their council, to give up some of the land as a contribution. Again, it speaks volumes. Understanding there's an issue out there and trying to deal with it or burying your head are 2 different methods. And I like this method of acknowledging that we can get people the help they need and a better environment. So I just want to thank them, and I don't expect anything to go south, but if it does, then we'll look for another location. But they've been so good all along.
Thank you, Supervisor Kesa. We've indeed been very fortunate with all the partnerships that we've had in various behavioral health projects and the close working relationship with Stanco as well as the City of Modesto.
Derek?
First, thank you guys, Tony, and Pam, and Kara. Thank you guys for the presentation. Very well done. It's so nice to see just the evolution that the state eventually has gotten to from where we started with homelessness. I can remember, 7 years ago, and I always talk about this, when they came here and told us that it was just an economic issue. People need money and they'll have houses and everything's fine. And they have eventually gotten to this point, which is, it took a long time, but we're very happy that we're getting to this point that we realize that these individuals have SMI, severe mental illness, have substance use substance use disorders that we need to help them with if we really want to have permanent solutions to help these people get off the streets. So it's great to see this happening. And I know just so proud of our department. What you guys are doing is amazing. We're back to where I feel like we're leaders again in the state. And this everybody, but we're there again, and I think people look a lot to our department, and it's because of all of you, all of our staff, everybody that's getting to these spots, so that now we're really making a difference. And I think a lot of this legislation and things that are coming down now is a result of the efforts that a lot of you have done and tried to point out over the years to get us to this point. So it took a long time. It's nice to see this funding coming to really be able to help treat these people. I'm sure, Modesto, you're right, they've been great partners in this. I know they recently had the idea of, I think it was safe parking or something like that, and I know that failed, but this is so much better. I mean, this is the direction we need to know to go. And I know that there were individuals with good intentions on city council that were looking for something, and this will just give them something great to hang their hat on too. So thank you guys very much. Really look forward to this, and it's really going to make a difference. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Yes, Ron.
Is it Pam, Pamela?
Pam, yes.
Pam, okay. I just have a question about the funding source. It looks like this is a principal grant, but I just have a question. Have you availed yourself to Stanislaus Council of Governments, people that research funding sources? We have a new, have you availed? I know you guys have your own researchers, but I'm a cross-pollinator guy. I want to have you? Because there are some obscure sources for things, any kind of social services at a local level. I was informed by the newly hired Director of Planning and Project Delivery. So if you'd like that contact information, I strongly urge. In fact, I'm on a StanCog committee, and he was soliciting, like, if you're thinking of any projects like this, and I would like the different governmental agencies to work together. They're specialized. In fact, they just hired a new guy, so they have a good staff to research the more obscure sources for funding for exactly this kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for further action. Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Graywall.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Graywall, a second by Supervisor Withrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 4-0-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. All right, correspondence.
This board has received the claims as noted on the agenda.
Acknowledge receipt of claims and refer as recommended on the agenda. Board of Supervisor reports. Do we have any Board of Supervisor reports? I actually do today. So District 5, we held our second annual county-sponsored community cleanup in series last Saturday, which was located at the Public Works Department on Morgan Road. I was thrilled to see the participation from the public, and I want to personally thank Mr. Mayor Javier Lopez of Ceres, as well as our Stanislaus County Public Works crew members, Charles Carpenter, Jonathan Freeman, and Rolando Milan, for all their assistance in filling 20 bins of large dumpsters from Burlati. So we definitely put in a lot of work, definitely needed an Epsom salt bath after that day, but it was a great day for Ceres and a great day to combat blight and try to spur some beautification in our unincorporated areas. So with that, I will go ahead and move on to our legislative and fiscal management report. CEO Hayes.
Still quiet in Sacramento as the legislature's on recess. However, I do want to acknowledge on also this last week and on Saturday that we were able to join many members of the community in conducting a housing summit that was hosted by Modesto Junior College. I want to share our appreciation for them hosting us. We had the entire team that has worked on the Housing Stanislaus project. It was our official launch of the actual report itself, which has been put out onto our website, and we're going to take many other additional steps to share this information out into the community. I want to appreciate Supervisor Graywall for showing up and having a very spirited kickoff that I thought served everybody and all the participants really, really well. Got us situated for a great few hours of conversation, needed conversation on housing. Also want to acknowledge that we will bring a presentation to the Board of Supervisors here in the next month or two on this topic, so we can share out the report and begin the conversations. This really is our kickoff for more conversations in the community, and we were very happy to get through the Housing Summit on Saturday. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I do want to acknowledge Gavin Klein with Congressman Doherty's office, if he'd like to report anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, county staff community. Thank you, Gavin Klein, Congressman Duarte's office. Just a quick update with everything going on, and then I want to touch on two bills that the congressman's co-sponsored that are very important to him. Congressman Duarte is working extremely hard in our nation's capital to give the priorities for our California's 13th congressional district. And the congressman's committed to tirelessly working to pass those fiscal responsible budget bills. And the congressman wants to get back to the work of the American people, conduct legislation that will better the American people, especially those in our district as well. And with the speaker elected now, the congressman believes that we will be able to be back on the work of the American people. And then two co-sponsors that the congressman had. Congressman Duarte is a co-sponsor of H.R. 4713, which is the Rural Hospital Technical Assistance Program Act. Provides much needed support to rural hospitals by offering them resources and guidance necessary to remain open and continue serving their communities. This includes technical assistance and financial management, infrastructure upgrades, healthcare innovation, and by working with both Democrats and Republicans, this bill can ensure that families can continue to receive the medical attention they deserve regardless of the zip code. And another one is the Rural Telegraph and Education Enhancement Act of 2023, House Resolution 5308, and it reauthorizes the distance learning of telemedicine programs of the Department of Agriculture. The bill ensures that health services and educational opportunities are accessible to those living in rural communities. It will help with expand economic and social opportunity, places that have traditionally been overlooked by the federal government, something our valley knows too much of. So thank you all for your time. If there's any questions, I can answer.
Thank you, Gavin. Any questions? All right.
Thank you, guys.
Please give the congressman our best. All right, there is no closed session today, so we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 10:15.